Welcome to Debating Dating, a podcast with me, Rachel Graham.
And me, Marc Jennings.
We're two single friends, and every episode we'll be discussing our differing perspectives on an aspect of modern dating.
We'll be sharing our honest insights and experiences as platonic pals who are not afraid to give each other the unvarnished truth.
Or laugh at each other's bullshit.
So this week we are talking about ghosting. Ghosting, of course, really just the modern name for when you don't hear back from somebody, when you've been texting them, maybe even been on dates with them, maybe even you're married to them, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, you don't hear from them again. It's as if they've died and become a ghost. There derives the phrase ghosting, the modern parlance, and that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, so we've got some submissions from people who've either ghosted or been ghosted, and this week we have a lovely guest, Gareth Mutch. Hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you very, very much for having me.
You're very welcome. So, you have any kind of relationship with ghosting?
Unfortunately, you've asked the right guy. Yeah, no, I've got a lot of experience with ghosting. To be fair, the one that pops to my head is actually surprisingly me being the ghoster.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Which was not exciting, is it, Rachel? It's bad, and it's not good behaviour. I don't know if it is actually ghosting. I don't know if you could qualify as ghosting. I'll tell you what happened, and I'll let you and Marc judge if you think this is eligible for a ghost.
Okay.
Right. So here we go. So I was texting this girl, right? We hadn't arranged to meet or anything, but it was during the fringe. We were texting back and forth. I think she'd seen me at like the Glasgow stand or something like just before the fringe. We were texting back and forth. And then one Saturday, she's just there. She just comes to the show. She doesn't tell me she's coming to the show. Just like a fucking, like I'm doing the show and I'm like looking into the audience. And spoiler alert, it's not like there's loads of people at my shows. So I see her fairly quickly. Like I walk out and go, oh fuck, there's her. So her and my mum, that's it, right? So I see her and I'm like, the whole time I'm like, is she just here for the show? If so, that's obviously fine. People can choose to do that. But in my head I was like, fuck, what if she thinks like we're going to go for drinks or something after? That would be a reasonable thing to think if you've like got a train through from Glasgow. But I've got plans. I'm going out with the lads after this. And I was quite looking forward to it. So so the whole show, like I'm just doing the material. I'm in like robot mode. And my whole time the brain's going, we need her fucking out here because she's definitely going to ask you for drinks after. And we need a valid excuse. The show ends. Rapturous applause. People are just fucking, what an hour of comedy. I heard them cry, right? and so I stand at the door to thank everyone as they leave, right? And she's there and we have like a quick exchange. And then I stupidly, and I still regret this, I'm like, oh, I'll see you down in the bar, I'll just be 2 seconds. And then as soon as she says, oh, why the fuck did you do that? That was maybe a chance to kibosh the whole thing. So then I'm getting changed and I'm thinking, right, I've got 2 options here. I can go down, say to her, hey, thanks for coming, but you know, I've actually got plans now. Or down the back exit, off to Pines with the boys. And I did the second one. And then I text her on the way there being like, sorry, had to shoot off. I've got plans. I might have even said another gig. But we weren't, like, there was nothing in stone. It was a total, like, sprung on me.
So did you not like the look of her? Were you not kind of thinking...
It's not even necessarily that, Rachel. It's more just of at that point in my life, alcohol and socialising was priority to everything. She was nice, like, she was dead nice, but I didn't want the awkwardness of the... Because I couldn't say, I want to have a drink with my friends. She's going to be like, well, I've fucking travelled through, haven't I? Like, I would be
prepared.
A dickhead if I...
You weren't prepared for a date. Like, you'd not had the emotional thing of like getting all ready. You hadn't gotten that mindset. The prep.
The whole day of panic. I hadn't had that.
Yes, exactly. That's what I always say. You hadn't had it. You weren't in the right frame of mind.
You need the day of panic before you're ready for any day.
I think you're doing yourself a bit of a disservice here, Gareth. I really think all you were doing was following the ancient code of bros before hoes. That is all that was going on there. You're like, boat hen, I'm out with the boys.
Because like I did think if I put myself in the conversation, I would definitely have to go with her, because as soon as she throws at me, well, I've got on a fucking hour train for this.
Do you know, the good thing is, though, like, see when you're on stage and all that, it's like, and especially during the Fringe, it's like, for all they know, you could have another gig, or, you know, you've got loads going on, and it's like, oh, you know, you've got, you could have 15 different people in the crowd that knew you and wanted a pint with you or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, sorry, I'm so busy. So it's actually quite a good excuse. Did you ever, did she ever get back to you after that then? No.
Oh, yeah, we ended up going out for a bit.
Is this now your girlfriend?
No.
Yeah, I've ghosted some bitch before.
Now I'm prepared to fucking put a ring on it, I reckon. No, I'm not currently dead, but we did. We went out for a little bit. She actually, when we split, this is true, by the way. I think I might even message you about it. I think maybe in an attempt to make me jealous, I don't know, but I don't know why she did it. I don't know her motives, but I remember she sent me a photo of a comedian that she'd matched with on Tinder, and that comedian was Marc Jennings.
You know,
and I was just like, why are you sending me this? I'm going to send this to Marc.
If I could tell you the amount of women I've hooked up with who are just trying to get back at Gareth Mutch.
You tell that one story.
It's a list as long as my arm, that.
It's the obvious go-to, innit? You add Mutch onto Jennings.
I feel like that is quite a... I feel like that's quite a sort of tame. I think the fact that you did message her, you basically you stood her up more than ghosting her, I think, and then you did tell her.
I'm not happy with that, Marc, actually.
Worse.
I'm not happy with that. That's worse. I think that's way worse.
Well, you just didn't...
broke her heart, is what you did.
You fucked her up emotionally rather than ghosted her, I'd say.
Well, the thing is, though, she's taking a risk there, so you didn't know she was coming that day?
Mate, I had no idea. We'd messaged each other like a few times. If she'd said, oh, I could come through on Saturday, and I'd said yes, and then I did that, I'm a piece of shit. I genuinely had no idea. It wasn't in the books. It was not arranged.
Yeah.
It was sprung at me.
Well, so there's what you've done. She's taking the risk that could happen. If you go through and meet somebody without their knowing, then surely the risk that you must understand is possible is that they could be busy. They won't be there.
As you say, especially when it's a comedian during the Fringe Festival, like it's not it's a safe bet. You'll be free.
I know.
Might have stuff on.
But I think it's funny because if I were to do that, if I were the girl in this scenario and I went and then like you left, I would think, okay, well, he's clearly not interested because he has chosen. I mean, maybe she obviously didn't know, but he has chosen. You've had two options and you've chose the lads. Yeah. So I would think, okay, he's not that into it. Then you go on and go out with her. So then I'm like, maybe we shouldn't give up. Like I would be like, okay, no. He's not into me.
There was a little bit of a will they, won't they, Ross and Rachel for a bit. Like we did and then we didn't, and then we did and then we didn't. Like a few times. She did reach out a few times after. And
was that more reluctance on your part though? Like did you go out with her after that out of a sense of obligation or guilt, or?
I mean, I don't know is the honest answer to that. I haven't really processed it internally. I just did it.
Well, I'm here to tell you, Gareth, that's exactly what it fucking sounds like, alright?
It may well have been, Marc. It may well have been.
We'll get rolling with the first couple of submissions that we've received. So we've had two here, first of all, that are experience of someone getting ghosted, and this first one actually also occurs at the Edinburgh Fringe, or someone going through to the Edinburgh
rife
Fringe.
Time for it, the Fringe.
It is an absolute rife time for
ghosting is rife during August.
People getting their hearts broken and stuff. So let's go. So we'll get this first clip up now and have a wee listen.
A couple of years ago, we seen a guy, decided, let's go to the Fringe. It was kind of a good thing to do. Been going out a couple of months, kind of looking for slightly different things to do. And he was a nurse, so I was kind of used to sometimes not hearing back for a wee bit. Shift patterns, phone going dead, blah, the usual. And never heard from him. Got on the train, never heard from him. Kind of going, okay, something's maybe slightly off here. And when I realised when I was getting ghosted is when he walked off the exact same train with me, hand in hand with another guy.
Oh! So bad.
Immediately I feel a lot better about myself.
No, you're a saint, Gareth.
Oh, that's horrid.
It's a tough one.
That's fucking brutal, you know.
What are the odds as well? Like, think of the amount of trains that go through to Glasgow, Edinburgh.
Same train.
Maybe it was deliberate.
It must have been, like, it seems too much a coincidence, doesn't it? To win, and especially because he knows that he's arranged. So the guy that ghosted him knows that he's arranged with that guy at that time.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
So he just went anyway with someone else and just thought.
Deliberate.
I mean, you know what? I think
guy...
it is. I also think it might be deliberate. Like, that's a guy who just wants to live on the edge, dance with the devil.
It's these little sociopaths who are like, ooh, I'm going to get caught. And I like it.
100%. I want the fucking look of going, what the fuck are you doing? And him going, like he wants that.
You're swinging the hand like, la da da.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking see this.
That's such a shame.
I wonder whether that guy, the ghoster, I wonder whether he just messaged, like, you know, he could have messaged 5, 6, 7 different people and just thought, I'll just message them all, ask them all to meet up, and whoever turns up, the one that I like the best, I'll just go with.
Do you know why Mark is saying this? Because that's something he would do.
Rachel, I swear to Thor, I was seconds away from going, you spoke about that a little too like it's a tactic you've used, Mr. Jennings.
Well,
just move Fringe to London.
When you're telling that first story, Gareth, I'm like, that's what I would do on a nightly basis at the Fringe. I know it's a big deal here.
Now that's a shame though. I feel really bad for that guy.
Especially because they'd been seeing each other for a while and all that already, and he'd already sort of internalised this thing of like, oh, well, you know, well, he's a nurse, so, oh, well, I'm used to not hearing back from him, so it's like, basically he's
established that he can take the piss a bit.
Yeah.
And also, it might be that as well. He thinks, I'm a nurse, I'm fucking holier than now. I could be a prick. Because look at I'm out there saving lives. I can fuck up one.
That's one hero that does not deserve a clap.
Yeah, I'm not hitting my pan for that guy. Nah, it's a shame. I feel really bad for that, you know. I do.
I know, it's
sorry,
a sin.
mate.
I know. I feel like saying RIP after every ghost story.
I feel like the thing with that is, though, like, as I say, like, that's one time where somebody has actually, like, so you've turned up to a place, like a date or whatever, and the person's not turned up there. Like, has that ever happened to any of yous?
It's not happened to me, and I can't understand it. Like, I genuinely can't wrap my head around. To be fair, I've oh no, hold on. I might have.
You're like, sorry, never, but
no,
once.
I might have. Yes, I fucking have. You know. Oh, this was a bad one. It actually wasn't a ghost though. You definitely couldn't count it as a ghost.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
the date happened begrudgingly. Oh, she was so fucking like the first thing she said was, "Well, we better fucking do it then." And I was like, "Yeah, cool. Let's go see Scotland, Ireland, and have a miserable time."
Oh my god.
So I think we'd arranged. To be fair, this isn't a ghosting story, so it's not on brand.
That's fine.
No, tell us.
So we were. I'd invited her to see the Scotland Ireland rugby game, or maybe Scotland France. Can't remember, but one of the ones in the Six Nations at Murrayfield. And I think I'd said like, "Oh, let's meet at the tram, the Murrayfield tram line. It's right outside the stadium." She was like, "No worries." And then she messaged me being like, "Oh, the trams," because she was coming from town, I was coming from Livingston, so different angles. There's fuck up number one, right? We're coming from different places. So then she was like, "Fuck it, the tram's way too busy. I'm just going to walk. I'll be there in like 20 minutes. Little old me doesn't see this.
Oh no.
I just think she's still in town. So I'm like, so I've messaged her going, "Tell you what, I'll walk, you walk, and we'll meet halfway." So I'm walking, and then she sends me another message being like, "The next tram was a bit quieter, so I'll just jump on that." So I'm still ploughing on, just walking into the centre of town. And then I see it, I message her like, "Oh, right, shit, sorry, I'm on your way back." She starts walking. It's honestly like a fucking sitcom level of to and fro, like Scooby-Doo. I'm coming out one door, she's coming out the other. We're just constantly crossing paths. So she sends me a very angry like voice message being like, right, just fucking go to this bar and fucking stay there. So I'm stood there for like half an hour and like going, well, I hope this date goes well. And she gets there, she's fucking livid. And then we went to see the rugby fixture. It was horrible. But
Oh,
yeah, it was a bit
that's
of a
not
fucking
your
anticlimax,
fault.
that story.
Why
Should
are
have
you
ended it
getting
at
in
the Scooby-Doo
trouble?
thing.
No, that's such a shame. Like, it wasn't your fault. It's just as much her fault as it is your fault, right?
To be fair, Rachel, I have left out one little detail of I was already an hour late because I was hungover, so I left that out because I thought that's not irrelevant. But then, as you've said, both of those stories for me, I've kind of tried to paint myself as like I'm not the bad guy, so I've left out the prick detail.
I mean, fair enough. I'd be fucking raging. It's the fact that if it was a good reason, I think I would have forgiven you. But if you're hungover, there's no excuse.
No.
And did the game? I mean, it sounds like it was over before it started. Really?
Yeah, the game. Scotland could have won 189-0. It was fucked. It wasn't being salvaged. Like when the first thing you say is, "Shall we fucking do this?" Then it's just downhill, isn't it? It's not going well. You can buy all the ice creams or pizza slices you want, Jennings. It's pooped.
That's the thing you're meant to just say on the inside if you meet someone and you're like, oh no, I'm going to need to go through with this, fuck.
But yeah, so does anyone here have experiences with being stood up? Sorry, I just hijacked that question with a story that wasn't relevant.
I haven't been stood up, but I have been cancelled on right before numerous times, and it annoys me so much. I've spoken about it before because, like we said earlier, I will spend a lot of time getting nervous, sick, feeling really like anxious and also getting ready for a date.
Relate.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so, you just feel sick for a full day. So then for someone to cancel, I had this honestly very recently, cancel an hour before. I'm like, I am literally about to walk out the door to go and meet you. So that's happened to me quite a few times, and it's so annoying. And I've had friends who've had it to them where they've like fallen asleep. So they're like so they'll be like, they're meant to be meeting, and then he's needing to get a train, and then he's just not online for like 3 or 4 hours, and she's like, are we meeting? Like, what's going on? Like, can you let me know? He's like, oh, sorry, I just woke up. Like, and it's like, okay, so it's like kind of a getting stood up, but it's more that he's just been like, ugh.
Yeah, fucking hell, men are bloody trash.
Men are trash, am I right? I'm glad you said it.
No, we've got a lot to answer for, that's for sure.
On that theme of both men being trash and excuses coming up, well, I'm going to play this next clip now, beautiful, which features basically both of those things being played out.
We keep doing accidental, amazing segues. I had no idea that the fringe thing was going to come up. I just set it up a belter.
We're all professionals here, that's what it is.
So, hanging out with this chick, texting back and forth a little bit. Then she eventually convinced me to go round to hers. Parents are out of town for the weekend. So, go round, didn't take long, start doing the business. My phone goes off. Ignore it, kind of busy. Afterwards, she's like, oh, you should stay the night. And I didn't really want to. So, I get up, get a drink. Downstairs in the kitchen, like, check my phone. And I think to myself, right, cool. Shit, how do I get out of this? I come back upstairs, panicked that my mum had been taken into hospital. She hadn't. She was perfectly. She'd never been in hospital as far as I can remember. But I'm like, my mum's been in hospital. I need to go. Then that's my parents or my stepdad or whatever. I can't exactly remember who it was. I said, needs me to go to the hospital, and because I bail into my car. Halfway down the street, I had to stop to tie my fucking shoes, and 6 years later, I still haven't seen her. I think 6 years, roughly about that.
Oh, fucking hell. I'll never listen to a better voice note in my life. I was fucking howling laughing during that.
I was so distracted because that sounds like someone I know who ghosted me. And I'm really worried. I'm really worried that it's him being a wee dick. And I'm really worried that he's been like...
If we do know him, I want to say this before I learn that, because otherwise I won't say it. Class A bell end. Class A. right off the bat, I didn't like him. His casual use of the word chick pissed me off.
That's what I was going to say. Who says chick?
And then him going, we're doing the business. Oh, eat shit, doing the just so casual. We're doing the business. Fuck off. If I know him, fuck off.
I'm like genuinely worried that it's someone that I know.
Here's a question though.
Uh-huh.
Has a guy ever bailed on you saying that his mum had just been taken to hospital?
No, which makes me think he's ghosting everyone, left, right and centre.
What did they do to ghost you then?
This was before our first date. He said that his gran had died. What if it's the same person? That is.
He said his gran had died.
Yeah, but he didn't tell me for like weeks. He was like, "Oh, something really awful's happened," and like blah 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 blah.
Jesus, he's a serial dickhead.
Can I just say that this also might not be this person, and I am now.
No, it is. It definitely is.
I know the guy's name, so
what is his name? And you can
I'm not going to tell you.
Mark, please tell me.
We're going to leave it in suspense for the listeners.
It's him, Rachel. It's him.
I didn't like how smarmy he said it. Like, there was no kind of like, God, I probably shouldn't have. He was just like, well, man's gotta spread his seed.
Also, it's like, well, I mean, that's like that's the sort of atypical sort of guy thing to do, isn't it? Want to fuck off as soon pumped and dumped as soon as.
Honestly, that. Like, you guys are running a podcast that's going to be listened to by people, and you've asked the people that follow you to answer a question. The way he sent that voice message in is like he's put it in like a lad's WhatsApp group. Like he's bragging about the whole thing, not knowing that this is going on a public podcast where you're going to look like a grade A fucking knob bucket.
Hey, well, tough talk there. You're
yes,
a grade A
professional
knob
comedian. Slam.
No, the bucket.
But do you know what the weird thing is though? See, he was quite blasé about like saying about doing the business and all that, but then he was also like the point where he was really like trying to be careful with his words is like, my mum's not been in hospital, but as far as I can remember, to the best of my knowledge, Your Honour, my mother has never been in hospital.
She's fit and healthy, my mum. I want that for the record. Don't be taking the piss out of my mum's being unhealthy, because she isn't. She's actually she's fine. Goes to the gym 3 times a week. Ellen.
Isn't this an interesting thing? Because, that lassie had obviously kind of like you were describing earlier, Gareth, for the girl who was quite more into you, like this girl who clearly like pursued him.
Yeah.
Like more, she was obviously more up for it than him. He went over anyway. And then it's like, she would have been annoyed. He knew that she would have been annoyed if he didn't stay over. So he had to, obviously, to make an excuse. Although, I mean, like, when you just hook up with somebody once, like, it's actually almost a bit more weird if you stay, because then it makes it more of a thing. Oh, well, you know what I mean? Like,
I think there is a way to do it, though. I think there is a way to do it. If you would just, maybe if you say before, even if you, like, say before, like, just so you know, my mum's going to die about 4 a.m. So.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can I just say, just stay over. It's how many hours of your life. Just stay over. If you want the privilege of sleeping with someone, just stay over and leave in the morning. How difficult is that?
But
not at all.
But there is women and men and, like just everybody. There's people who, if they're just hooking up with somebody in a one night stand, if it's at their place, they won't let them stay over, because it's like, they're kind of trying to keep it casual, right? This was it, and now you can just get a taxi home, sort of thing.
I know, but
I think as long as you if you're honest going into it, so everyone knows what the deal is, then it's a bit more respectable. Do you know what I mean? But just like, mate, honestly, just so casually dropping, "Oh, my mum's kicked it," just to get someone out of you, like, and also how willing he is to answer that on a podcast just shows what a grade A knob bucket that guy is.
Well, we are very thankful for our listener submissions, actually. So we'd like to say thanks very much, and no hard feelings about doing the same thing to Rachel. Do you know what I think though? Like, the whole reason ghosting exists, and the whole reason like we make up these weird excuses, is because The truth hurts. Do you know what I mean? The reason that we always say weird things that, or you just stop texting somebody or something, it's because like that guy couldn't have went, look, I'm no into you. I just wanted to shag, and you were inviting me over, so I just done that. Like that's quite a hard and horrible thing to say to somebody.
Well,
is it letting them down gently by going, actually, my mum's in hospital?
I would say no to that. I would say a firm no to that. Because rule one right off the bat, you shouldn't be sleeping with anyone that you're not kind of into. You can not want to be in a relationship with a person, but you shouldn't just be using a person purely on a genital basis. That's a very sad.
That's a sex negative attitude you've got there, Gareth. And,
yeah, well, I'm fucking still a virgin now, right? So that's weird.
No, I totally agree. You're so right. I think he doesn't deserve sex if he's not going to respect her enough to either have that conversation beforehand, which, okay, fair enough, that's not a sexy conversation to have before sex. But
yeah, not right before. Not like as you're about to go in going, oh, by the way, baby, also, I'm not really into staying over tonight. Like, you can't like have the conversation over like a glass of fucking vino.
No, you can't do that as your foreplay, but, you know, have a conversation. But it makes me mad because it's like kind of, it's like he's saying all of the things in order to have sex, and then as soon as he's achieved that, he's then just showing his true colours. And yeah, it's really icky. I honestly just think, like, there's been times where I've not wanted to stay over, like maybe, there's been times, and I'm saying that because I don't actually think there has been times I don't want to stay over. I'm like, there has been times.
Multiple occasions.
Never. No, but like, do you know what I mean? Just fucking, just deal with it. It's however many hours, and then just leave in the morning. I just think it's a respect thing, and I just think he didn't deserve that person. I bet that person was great.
I've had a girl get angry at me before because we went out on 2 dates, and on the second date, I went, this has been nice. I've had a pleasant evening. Arrivederci. And then I left, and on the bus, she was really angry. Ooh. Being like, why the fuck did you not even try and come back to me, and you fucking pussy and shit? And I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
Oh god, I was trying to be not nice or whatever, but it wasn't even a thought in my brain. Genuinely I didn't even go, oh, you could try and fucking get a shag here. I was just like, we've had a nice evening, and now last bus home time.
That is very sweet, but I would say, why wasn't that even a slight thought in your mind? Did you not think, do you not slightly think a date?
I mean, again, this is definitely, definitely something that I haven't opened up inside myself. I've just went, lock that, never address it. This is just who we are. I don't know, probably because I'm absolutely fucking terrified. Like, the thought of it was terrifying. The thought of a one-night stand for me is genuinely more scary than death.
Really?
Fuck I. That's terrifying. What, just once and then never leave? What? That's insane.
What is so scary about it, though?
What's not scary about it? It's all absolutely terrifying. It's like the most raw, let's have this fucking awkward experience together, and then it's probably just like a self-confidence thing, I guess, but it's never ever appealed to me. If I'm being honest, I've never ever. I think I've had opportunities in the past, like when I've been in the club, and people have approached me and stuff, and definitely wanted to, and I've played what that night would be out in my head, and I'm like, that's terrifying. Just go home, have a sandwich, and go to bed.
No, I do. I have definitely been there in the past, of. I think when you've never had one, or say you've had one or something, it is very daunting because you don't know kind of the...
Look at Marc just fucking smirking away going, what the fuck are these two virgins talking about?
He's like, oh god. No, it is a daunting prospect, especially if you don't feel like you've but I think it's that plaster thing. It's like as soon as you rip off that plaster and you've done it one or two times, then it becomes
could be correct,
surprisingly easy.
When I think you're totally right. I think you have actually nailed, fucking hit the nail on the head there. Because it's usually about high school sort of time where people start having those experiences. And when I just didn't have any of those experiences, the longer it goes, the more, oh, well, this isn't fucking happening. This isn't a reality sort of thing. So by the time I was like 20, I was just like, fucking, I don't want that, because it wasn't, there's a window where you get that experience and go, oh, this isn't actually that bad.
Yeah.
And then you go down the fucking knob bucket route and just start fucking ploughing in. Or you go the Mutchy route of just being terrified forever.
Well, that's actually so interesting, because what you've described is exactly what I'm like, but with drugs. Because like when I was younger, like when I was about 16 or something, all my mates smoked dope, and I just never done it because I didn't smoke. And then people started getting like into other things now as you grow up. And then by the time, like, probably it was because I was scared when I was younger, right? I was just scared, and I believed all the, you know, the plays and all that you get at school or whatever. But then by the time like I got old enough that I probably would have been open-minded enough to try it and wasn't that scared anymore, I was like, well, I'm not going to start now. Like, I know people that have already ruined their lives cause it. And like,
yeah, no, totally. I think that is a good comparison, you know, yeah.
Yeah, so no, that's interesting, man. But no, it's fair enough. Like, it's like, because that's, I feel like that's sort of a good analogy, actually, because I feel like that in a night out, because I don't take drugs, right? I look at people like, and some people's idea of a good night out is like, have a couple of drinks and then try and score some drugs and, you know, try and take some coke or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't take drugs, but like for me, that version of that is like, have some drinks, hang about your pals, and then, you know, maybe see if there's like somebody you can, you know, hook up with, something, you know, there's an interest, there's a you know, a sexual interest or a, you know, a potential partner interest in, you know, at the party or wherever you are. And for me, that's like my idea of where it goes. In both scenarios, you probably end up doing a back alley with somebody that you shouldn't be associating with, but
so yeah, that's the thing, man. Like, I think that's totally exactly what it is. It's just kind of like different mindsets almost. Like, I have, honest to God, like, I'll name him, fuck it, he's definitely not listening to this, but my mate Connor, right, like, he would, like, when we'd go around for like pre-drinks or something, he would, like, on the pre-drinks be like putting himself together, whatever, and like he'd be like, oh fuck, I hope like I meet someone tonight or something. And I'm like, I hope they fucking play good music so I can have a dance with my mates. Like, genuinely, it's never been I've never went in with that mindset.
Yeah.
So that when it has happened, I've went, oh, you fucking bastard, I don't know how to deal with it. Whereas he, like, goes in, like,
the
like similar to
mindset
yourself,
you've
it's
not
like,
got
I would class this night as success if this is how it ended. Whereas I'd class it as success if me and my mate Ben are getting a KFC bucket at 2 a.m. So that's a successful night out for me.
They both sound great.
The time I got ghosted, right, that kind of sticks in my craw. I've been ghosted, you know. It's happened to everybody. It's probably happened on several occasions, right? But one time,
Didn't expect that.
Don't want to be that guy.
one time it was this girl that I was seeing. We'd matched on dating apps like a good few times, right? And we ended up matching on Bumble, and we got talking, and then we had a night out and stuff like that, and we hooked up, and then after we'd hooked up, right, like we went on a couple of dates and like, you know, went for drinks and stuff, and she was dead. She was too attractive for me, right? She was beautiful, right? Beautiful.
I'm not going to hear this, Mark. You're a very handsome young man.
Thank you. But she was a bit out of my league, right? But she was also a bit, this sounds bad, but she was a bit boring, right? It was one of those sort of interactions that I felt like I constantly had to keep coming up with things to say because there wasn't enough back and forth. And then because there's no back and forth, I felt I'm going, oh my God, am I boring? Because, you know, like, but really she just didn't have a lot to say and really, you know, probably wasn't that interested in me, I guess. But I, like, you know, and it was awkward. So sometimes I would come up to her place after like I'd stayed over and stuff, and I'd come back and then it'd be like, you know, get to like 11 o'clock and it was like, right, you know, you kind of going down the road or something like that now. And then I was like, all right, okay, cool. And there was one time like I'd left my car up at her bit and we'd had a drink and all that. And then I was like, oh no. So I just had to get like a taxi home and come up the next day and collect my car. But anyway, so we'd seen each other a good couple of times. And after that time, actually, I just never heard from her again. But then I seen her come up on Bumble again, right? which signalled to me that since we'd started dating, she had deleted Bumble and then decided to re-download it again because she's like, well, I'm looking for someone else now. and when I seen that, I just thought, it's probably over here.
I mean, yeah, when it was like the radio silences, surely it's over.
Well, that was it, but it was around about the same time. It was like after
Right.
I'd sort of picked up the car and that. But weirdly though, that
Jumped
I don't
out
know
the
if
taxi, picked up the car.
yeah. Well, I don't know if you ever seen
Did
that.
you not even like knock on the door then and being like,
No,
You can't knock on the door once you've been ghosted.
I mean,
You knew.
well, he's not been ghosted. He'd left the car there the night before, hadn't he?
Oh.
Yeah, left the car there the night before. I had a drink, and then like, no, obviously, like you're that's an awkward thing, right? See if you drive anywhere and like you're going to meet someone, like, you know, if you decide to have a drink, there's always like you're always kind of going, I might. It's like what I was saying with that girl who get the train through the France to see you, Gareth. There's always a possibility that you might be having to go back home that night. You know, there's no like. It wasn't even as if I was like, oh, of course I'm going to stay over or anything, but it was like, well, you know, like, I'll just have a couple of drinks and see what happens. And it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but like having to go up and get it, I was like, that was the last time I ever spoke to her after that. Like she never replied to me. And which is weird that she still follows me on Instagram and stuff, and I unfollowed her because I was like too annoyed. But
I still do that. I still do that. Is that weird?
no, but there was.
Do you think that's weird?
To still
I'd still follow people that I've been on dates
Oh yeah,
with
that's
in
the
past.
best thing about Instagram is making a story and seeing all the people who have looked at it and finding the ones that either have like fucked you over or you're like, oh, you're still watching my things.
Yeah. No, I'm like that as well.
But do you know, for me, it was like we did. Like, it wasn't as if we pure got on like a house on fire anyway. So fair enough. But obviously, I was a bit gutty. It's like, oh, she was really beautiful and stuff like that. But I remember one day we went out for dinner and like we bumped into this guy, right? And I don't know who he was, but he was this beautiful looking guy. I was going like that, oh my god, like that's who
Marc,
she
you're gonna
should
have to
be,
stop doing
right?
this, mate. I'm not gonna bloody hear this.
Honestly, right, the guy was
Marc,
he was
fucking buck up your ideas here.
No,
I'm
he
not
was-
I'm not gonna hear this. You got one more strike and you're out. Here, lad.
hear me out, right? But see the way she was talking to him, and the way it was maybe all projection on my part, but I felt insecure looking at him, going, "Oh my god, I wish I looked like him." And then she like knew him for something. They could have used to have gone out or something for all I know.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I was just, it was one of those moments where I just felt like, this isn't going to work. But it's always like, see when you like you manage to get with somebody that you feel is slightly out your league, and then you lose them. It's like you sort of feel like, oh,
Yeah, so
I
we're
wish I'd
feeling
just-
that, innit?
I wish I'd just never got with them in the first place. Do you know what it's like? One time I bought, I was at a cash line, right, in the middle of Glasgow city centre, and I went to put my
Where's this
card.
analogy going?
No, I went to put my card in, right, and there was £200 sitting like in the wee out thing.
You can't, Marc.
And so, but there was a big queue behind me and stuff like that, right? And so like, I took it and I waited for a minute to see if anybody came back, right? And then I was like, oh, well, finders keepers, right? So I put it in my pocket. I didn't even put it in my wallet because I was like in the middle of town. I didn't want to be flashing the cash. So I just quickly put it in my wallet, in my pocket. I get back round to the bar. I'm like, oh, brilliant, right? So bought a drink with one of the 20 quids with it. Having a drink. Like, oh my God, I found this money, blah, 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 right? Next thing, but half an hour later, check my pocket.
Gone.
Money's
Gone.
not there.
That's what
And
happens.
I was
karma.
honestly so skint at the time. That was the most amount of money in the world to me that time, right? And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, what is God trying to tell me here? Like, why?
There's a lesson here somewhere. I don't know what it is, but I should be learning something right now.
But I was like, I mean, if I didn't take it, the person behind me would have. It was the middle of city centre. It was a
that
Saturday
is
night.
the golden nugget of an argument that you have with that sort of dilemma. Well, if I wasn't gonna,
If I'm not an arsehole, someone else is going to be an
Why don't I
arsehole.
get a little win?
If you put your card in the cash machine and then walk away without taking the hundreds of pounds that you've asked to come out, then I mean, you're kind of asking for it. Do you know?
What time? What time of day was it?
It was like a Friday or Saturday night.
Oh, right, okay. So the bank's not open, so there's no option for you to go in the bank with the money.
No.
Did you not go to the police or something?
The police. Fucking hell, right? Tell the
Well, do
police.
you know, I like a rule.
Fine
Surely if you
£200,
go-
right? Get the fucking FBI on the phone.
No, I I mean, like, can't someone phone up, like, if you lose a wallet, you're to give it to the police? Because then someone will, like, phone up and be like, oh,
It's a Friday, Saturday night in Glasgow City Centre. Jennings isn't going to be fucking right, lads. Put the lols on hold. I'm off to the police. I found 200 sterling, and this is what you should do.
Well, the thing is, though, it was like, the big lesson it sort of taught me was like, it's like, well, I didn't really deserve to have that money. So the fact that I don't have any more, I can't grumble with. But the experience of, like, never having had it in the first place, getting it, like, unexpectedly, and then losing it, makes you go, oh my God.
You should never have, like, it was never your loss, but somehow it did become your loss, yeah.
Exactly. And that's sort of what I think it feels like when you manage to get with someone that's about your league and then lose them. You're like, God, this was such an emotional experience. And I really could have done without it. It's just made me sad. It's made me hope, and then totally.
Yeah. It's like, you're like, oh fuck, I've got the thing that I never thought I would. Oh, and now the thing's been taken away. That feels way worse than it ever would have, because I never would have been in that position anyway.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
What's the time that you've been ghosted, Rachel?
So a time that I was ghosted, I have been ghosted a few times, like, I do admit it. But I think that it's usually more of a kind of, like, deliberate fizzle. Like, I feel like I get deliberately fizzled often. And it's so annoying because you can sense it and you're like, oh, okay, so this person is kind of trying to tone down the chat. So it's not as upsetting as, like, a full-on, like, I know they still exist. I know they're still active on WhatsApp. But, yeah, it's more of a deliberate fizzle. But I did have one guy be like, he was flaking, like, before it even happened. I think it's the guy in the voice note, but maybe it's not. he's gonna be like, it was not you.
This would be the first time someone has featured in 2 separate stories.
He's gonna. Well, anyway, it sounded like him, but I don't know. But he kept on flaking, and it was really annoying. It was like loose plans, like meeting the next day, and then it wouldn't happen. And like I said, you get really nervous, blah blah blah. And then he said, like, listen, something really bad's happened. And then he didn't tell me for weeks. So I'm just being, like, nice and just still chatting to him and thinking, oh, I don't know what the bad thing that happened was. And then he was like, was like, oh, let's meet on the Tuesday or whatever. And then he was like, oh, actually, the funeral's in the morning. So
God.
I might just be with family in the evening, so it might not work. And I was like, oh, right, well, yeah, I mean, I understand that. I wouldn't have arranged a date on the same day as a funeral. I was like, oh, yeah, my gran died. I was like, oh, my God. So it was before we'd even met. And then anyway, I just said to him, I was like, listen, I feel like this is never going to happen. So I'm just taking a step back. Like, I don't want to chase this. Like, I just thought that it would be nice to meet, but you're clearly not into it. And then as soon as I said that, he was like making a plan, definitely going to do it, ended up doing it. It was fine. He was late, Gareth, which...
Maybe he was hungover.
After his grand's wake.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was late, but it was like honestly one of the best dates ever, and had a really nice time. And he stayed over at mine because he'd come from Pitlochry, so it was quite a drive. So I do understand that. I mean, that's like, what, an hour and a half or something?
Yeah.
And then basically the next day he like left, and then we texted for like a day, and then he just stopped replying. And I was like, okay, so I'm getting ghosted here. But then what he did is he zombied me. Have you heard this thing?
Oh, no. Well, that's not a thing.
It is a
thing.
thing.
You got zombied.
Yeah, right. And I do it all the time. It's when you ghost someone and then you wait ages and then you go back to them and it's like you've
risen from the dead.
Yeah, zombied. It makes sense, actually.
Yeah, and then like 4 months. So like honestly, 4 months later, he was like, by the way, I'm like, you were so amazing, and I'm just
eat shit.
Yeah, he was like, I'm just an arsehole, and you know, I just got scared.
I would be lying if I have not sent the, hey, I was a cunt. Like, I've definitely sent that message before.
But it's only to make you feel better. I don't feel better from that text.
That's literally what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
That is, and it never is for you. It's never for you. It's just, there's a nice little, there's proof of me clearing my conscience.
Exactly.
Conscience. That's all it is. It's all for them. Zero. They've never looked at the reply. If they don't know if you have, as soon as they type it, they go, and honestly, I'm just so sorry for what I put you through. It was all my actions, and
I'm just a bad guy.
Trying to like improve myself.
Yeah.
And I'm coming to terms with this behaviour is not acceptable. And I just hope that we can that you're okay with me. Right, cool. Never speak to her again. Woo! Right, where's the fucking? No, it's definitely
no, but you know what? It's very annoying because I was just like, listen, you're just doing that to clear your conscience. What you did was not okay. Blah 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 blah. Like, gave him shit, and then now he'll just slide into my DMs every so often, like even about this podcast, like sliding in, like chatting about, like or like answering questions about dating, and I'm like, why are you talking to me about it? You ghosted me. Bad.
Yeah. Did you ever find out if his gran did die?
How am I going to find out? Give me an autopsy.
If that is him in that first clip, then potentially...
That's the nail in the coffin.
Potentially, he's just admitted to his own guilt.
But that would be someone who's trying to get caught because he would know that it's my podcast as much as it's your podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I don't think it's him.
But then, honestly, this is, I just wouldn't put it past... men that they have that in their locker. They definitely have, like, I'll fucking knowingly talk about that story on the podcast knowing that fucking Rachel's there. That's guy 101 stuff.
Is it power though? Is it like feeling like, oh, she wanted me and I don't even want her?
Yeah, again.
Do you know what it is?
Totally could be.
I think it's like a guy
let's hand over to our professional in the studio, Marc.
I think basically he knows that he's done something.
I'm only joking. I'm genuinely. I'm just like fucking unversed, you know. I know.
I'm overly enjoying it. I've got popcorn.
I feel like he knows that what he done was wrong, and he's now like trying to prove that doesn't define him.
Yeah.
His actions. So he's going to prove that he's been a nice guy, being overly thingy and trying to, because he knows that you have that information about him that from what he'd done, but he's trying to like move past it because he doesn't see himself as this prick who, you know, like stood you up or whatever.
Yeah.
But
so
because
he knows that's how you see him, so he's trying to change your opinion of him by
yes, bang on. Because obviously he's not going to think he's a prick. He's him. Like, I've done some things that I probably know these are dickhead things to do, but I still at the end of the day go, I'm a nice guy though, because it's me. I can't be a baddie. It's me. I'm me. I'm never going to go, yeah, you're a fucking piece of shit that let's just dredge on the rest of our life. We have to convince ourselves every day that we're a good person.
We've talked a wee bit about men's behaviour, right? And we don't want to clamour men over the head too much, right? If you're a man listening to this, and I'm sure there's at least one, you know, like you're probably one of the sound people that listen to us, unless you're the guy who sent the clip in, who also ghosted Rachel. But this is another example, I'm afraid to say, of some bad male behaviour.
Oh, story goes, went on a Tinder date with this guy. As far as Tinder dates go, he was lovely. We're there for ages. Arranged to meet up again the next weekend. And then next weekend comes. We said we would just meet at the place at 3 o'clock, I think. So I hadn't heard from him all day, which I thought was a bit strange. No, like, I'm on my way text, or I'm running a bit late, or see you there, nothing. So I was like, oh, it's fine, I'll just go. I get there, 3 o'clock, nothing. Stood until 25 past 3, I'm sure it was, like ages. Phoned him a couple of times, messaged him a couple of times, nothing. And then went home, gave up, mortified. And then got a text later that night to say, sorry, completely forgot I had my cousin's birthday party. So obviously that was a complete lie, because he hadn't even been online all day or anything, and you wouldn't leave someone standing at a pub knowing that you were at your cousin's birthday party and they were waiting on you. So never heard from him again, got completely ghosted. And then I'm sure it was 6 days later, there was a post on Instagram. His girlfriend had tagged him to say that they were engaged.
What the fuck?
They were engaged.
That just makes me so mad. Like, it makes my blood boil.
I didn't think that setup justified that message up until the last 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I was like, no, he might have genuinely not been active because he was at his cousin's birthday. And, like, he could have just went, oh, fuck, I had that thing. Shit, I'm so sorry. I was like, nah, I don't think this guy is an ass. And also, she was like, I was there for fucking ages. 20 minutes isn't ages. But then...
It's ages when everyone's looking at you.
Yeah,
Nah,
it's all
20
relative though,
minutes.
Gareth. It depends how long you waited on someone before they don't realise they're not going to turn up.
But then, yeah, obviously that... fucking hell.
It's bang out. It's not okay. But you
Like-
see it all the time, like where people are saying on Tinder in their bios, like, yeah, I've got a girlfriend, but she's pregnant right now, so I'm looking for some action and shit. It's
You
awful.
don't... What do you mean you see that online?
I see that on Tinder all the time.
Oh my god!
I see people being like, I've got a girlfriend,
fucking hell.
but so like I'll share a picture of my face if we match and all this. It's often.
Do you think the girlfriends know?
No, I don't think so, because then you just say, oh, we're in an open relationship, and people do say that and say,
Yeah.
like, listen, I'm like, she's okay with it, we both date other people or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's so many,
Oh,
it's just like their
fucking hell.
torso and their little package.
Aye.
That's crazy.
We did actually get quite a few submissions that were along these lines of like a woman who's went on a date with some guy and then found out he's engaged or is married and has kids or anything like that. Like there was a few of those to the point where I'm thinking, this must happen a lot. Like, which
Yeah.
is mad to me, right? Because like, I suppose, I think in a way part of the reason, and I think this is true for you as well, Rachel, like, I think part of the reason you stay single sometimes is because you don't want to commit to something that you know you're not fully into. And like, I feel like the only explanation for these guys who do this is that they commit to relationships that they're not fully into, because like, that is not on. Like, you can't be fucking engaged to somebody
Yeah.
and still be meeting folk on Tinder. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
what is that all about? And then it's like you're living this weird double life. It's like, you know, like these...
Well, maybe that's exactly it, Mark. I think maybe that is exactly it. There's something in that gets these guys off of like, fuck, what I'm doing here is so crazy wrong.
Yeah.
It's just so exciting. Because, like, I remember my girlfriend actually did say this to me. And I was like, that's a really fucking weird thing to say. But I do get it. So, because she worked at the stand, and I know her mother and stuff, like, just for, like, the first wee bit, it was like we were quite secretive with it. And, like, we discussed it. We're like, we don't want to just fucking bloat out that this is happening or whatever. Because, again, similar for, like, what we were speaking about earlier, you don't want to say to your pals or whatever, like, I'm with this person, then it not work out or whatever. So we just kind of both decided there's no point in bringing this up. It'll be like a secretive thing. And that was like a lot of fun. Like, I would like, and we both really enjoyed that part. So then when we did make it public, I remember my girlfriend said, she was like, I'm kind of gutted. Like, I wish we had that for a bit longer.
Yeah.
Which
quite
I
sexy.
do understand, but also if you have that too much, you'll find it. Do you know what I mean? You'll go on Tinder and fucking a ring don't mean no thing if you like it too much. Do you know what I mean? So I get it, but as you said, bang out. You can't be doing that.
Yeah, no, there's definitely that element of like, if something is slightly prohibited, then it feels quite sexy, and even like it's quite nice if you're having like early stages with someone and you're in a room or a party and like only you know that, and even just standing there, you're like, ho ho ho, I
Yeah,
know
it's
the
exciting.
secret.
It's exciting. He probably feels that when he's fucking dropping his kids off at school and then going on the Tinder date.
Yeah.
I
I
know,
just
but-
don't know how people could
I'm
face
sorry.
that though. Do you know what I mean? Like, see, like, going, like, that pure public show that is a complete facade and all bullshit of, like, you know, turning up to weddings and family get-togethers and, you know, other kids and, like, going out for meals with your pals and their partners, like, all that stuff. It's like, and all the pals know it's a sham because they
Yeah.
know what the guys like as well and all
Yeah.
this stuff. Like, I just don't, like, that cannot lead to happiness. I don't think, like, acting in that way, because you just know that you're living this lie, and it's probably a ticking time bomb until it all comes out, and then you're going to be alone and you know, away from your wife and kids and all that stuff. And is it all worth it to just fucking meet somebody off Tinder?
See, I also think, again, everything you've just said is true, but I don't think they're thinking, I'll get away with this. I think it's only like proper, like, high end, like if you're like like a celebrity or in some sort of position of power. I don't think just like your random guy would think he's going to get away with it. I think he would know and on some level want to get caught.
Yeah.
If you're that so blasé with it, it's almost maybe just a way of, it's also like a way of an out almost as well.
Yeah, it's like, oh, like it's a ticking time bomb type thing.
Yeah, if I just absolutely, I would rather absolutely colossally fuck this up so it ends in an explosion than sit her down and go, I'm sorry, I don't love you as much as I used to.
I think that I surround myself, like, we get obviously like these quite bad stories of like bad behaviour. I like looking at like Beam Me Up Soft Boy on Instagram that just has like awful people saying awful things. Or like there's this thing, Prick Advisor, on, it's like a Facebook group, and it like basically like warns you about like bad guys in Glasgow. But I think I'm like so immersed in that I think that I just expect the worst with everything. And I think that now I'm just a bit kind of like, there are nice guys, but because I just see it all the time, I'm like, even if it's that thing of, see if he was like, oh sorry, like I've had my cousin's party, I'm like, nope, like he doesn't value me, he doesn't respect me, he's making an excuse and I'm not accepting it. But then sometimes there is occasions where
people have just, things on.
People
like
have to go and
things,
have a drink with the boys, you know?
Yeah. It's a hard one, because I think, and I've probably maybe come in a bit heavy-handed earlier calling that guy a knob bucket or whatever, because I do think sometimes...
Oh, take it easy, Gareth. Come on. Hey.
I do think...
It's a family show.
I do think that, like, you know, you are allowed to fuck up. You are allowed to do some shit and go, fuck, and like say to your mates, like, fucking hell, I did that. I know it's not cool, but Jesus. Because, like, no one's fucking perfect. Like, and also, I defy anyone, man or woman, or anywhere in the scale, if someone is just that down the line, just fucking, oh, they treated me exactly perfectly the whole time, they've never spoken out of place, like, that person's fucking dull as shit as well.
Yeah.
There's nothing actually attractive about that person. No. Just, oh, they were just lovely to me from the moment I met them till he died. Like, there's nothing really like attractive about it.
Well, I remember my gran used to always say about my grandpa. He said, oh, he would never say a bad word about anyone. And I'd always think he'd probably be quite shite to share a car journey with, wouldn't he?
Yeah, the worst. Yeah, it would be bad. You need to.
But I think, like as you say, Gareth, like, none of us are perfect, right? We've all done things, like, stupid things we shouldn't have done, and like no thought about the other person's feelings and all that kind of stuff, right? No perfect. But I feel like when the stakes get that high, when it comes to, you know, one's a relationship, but even then, like, I think really when you're talking marriage, kids, when it gets to that level, you know, maybe even like living together or something, like, you can't be fucking about and doing all that, like, having these secret lives and all that stuff. At a certain point, if you're committing to the thing, you need to be like, right, this is because I'm going to stick to this now. Because if you're like making those big commitments and you're still fucking about on the side, like, it's just not good for anyone.
No, you're right. Yeah.
But we shouldn't be ghosting anyone. And like, I put my hands up. Like, we all, like, it's like these, even, it doesn't matter what level of a relationship or a text, like, we should actually just be communicating. It's hard, but you should just be like, listen, I wasn't feeling it, and like, let's just call it a day.
Definitely should be. But again, it's a point that Mark touched on earlier. I didn't agree with him for the example that was given at the time, but I do think in life it definitely could apply. Sometimes there are difficult conversations or things that, you know the other person's not going to want to hear. So just, I don't think ghosting necessary. I don't think if you've ghosted someone, that equals you are a prick. I don't think it does.
You can soft ghost, which is another thing. So there's ghosting.
What are these terminologies? I was fizzled. I was fucking zombied by the soft ghoster.
You can do a Casper, which is ghosting in a friendly way.
That is a good term. I don't even think that is real. I think you've just made that up.
I just made it up.
That's a belter. That's up there with zombie, that.
Look, I never ghosted her. I just Caspered her, man.
I would much prefer that. But soft ghosting is basically like, you're doing it in a like really delicate way. So it's like the fizzle. Do you know what I mean? You can be nice about it.
Well, you said, Rachel, though, that people should never ghost. But I think this next clip really hammers home this point that sometimes there is...
Another clip?
Much just loving it.
I love the clips. The clips are my favourite part.
Sometimes there is legitimate reasons to ghost, and I think this next clip that we've got, like, the person kind of explains that why they had to ghost someone.
So I was living in Belfast at the time, and I decided that I should try and meet someone and see what like. So I went on a date with a guy who was actually from Scotland as well. So we'd been chatting quite a bit, and he asked me on a date, which I went to. I met him by the third bar. Nice bars though. He started getting a bit handsy and was like wanting to cuddle me and stuff, and I was like, okay, he's maybe can't handle his drink, or maybe he's just really tactile. A couple of bars on, I'm like, nah, this isn't for me, like he's too much. So anyway, I jumped in a taxi, told him that I needed to go home because I was working early in the morning, and left it at that. So the next couple of days he was like really, really texty, wouldn't leave him alone. And I tried kind of being like, I'm not sure if I want, maybe we shouldn't go out again, I'm not sure. And the messages got so much that I told him that I was moving back to Scotland because I was really homesick. Now, bearing in mind, we'd only been speaking maybe about a week before our date. And we'd been out once, and then he started texting asking me to reconsider and how we could be good together and everything, which I thought was so creepy. So I ended up just ghosting him.
Yeah, I mean, fair dues, eh?
Yeah, I what do you mean fair dues? I heavily judge her.
Really?
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh, but you know what? Like,
she should have ghosted him fucking way earlier. Like, she just listed like 10
red flags.
Like, some of them assaults. I love that as well. That's just like the fucking definition of just what women are dealing with. They've actually they've just kind of batted away assault with, maybe he's just not good at drink. No, you don't just fucking, maybe he's just a bit tactile when he's got a drink in him. Ridiculous. Yeah, no, fucking lob that guy in the sea. He sounds like he's got the fucking mentality. He'll probably shoot up a school, little incel.
Little incel. I love incel chat.
It's a bad look as well when, like, you're having to pretend to somebody that you've just met that you've moved country. Like, that's the only way out. You're like,
damning prick
if
advisor.
This
that
person thinks that I'm going to be in the same island as them, I'm not going to get rid of them, so I need to say that I've moved away. And then he still protested and tried to get her to stay, like, and they'd only met once. Like, that is insane behaviour, and I think that is completely. I mean, completely.
Yeah, he's a worry. He's a threat more than.
Yeah, and this brings us on to an interesting thing that I think happens to. I've seen it in all my female friends. You'll have one or two guys, and it sounds like that guy, like, it was that kind of hounding of, like, say, like, please change your mind, and then, like, continuing to message, and she was like, then I ended up having to
change your mind.
Yeah, like, that's what he was saying, right?
Hell, that is a sad message.
And, like, to continue it on, and then you have to ghost, and then, like, I presume, like, I don't imagine he would just give up straight away. Maybe, like, she had to block him or something. But, like, the amount of my friends who have one or two guys in their, inbox who will be like, hi, how are you? How are you doing today? Merry Christmas. Hi, how are you doing? Hey. And, like, it's none of them are getting answered. It'd be like, happy birthday and all this kind of stuff, like any excuse to do it. And it's just weird to not
is that me?
To not have the understanding of being like, you can see all the times it's been ignored, so why is that, like, 17th time gonna get replied to? Like, it's bizarre. It's, like, deluded.
The guys don't understand because guys' inboxes aren't like that, so they're like, I'm the only one messaging this woman, not realising that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's, I've actually never fucking thought of it that way before. That's a good that's a good point, actually.
Yeah. You've got a bit in your act where you talked about, like, when you've been in high school, like, in your relationship with girls, and one thing in particular about, like, kind of like sleepovers and stuff. Like, is that true? And can you elaborate on that?
100% true. It wasn't really with girls that I went to high school with. I didn't fucking talk to them. But I went to a youth theatre, which is like, that was the best thing, because what you've got there is kind of, I'm not going to say like outcasts or anything, but it's like no one in youth theatre at that age is like, I'm the cool kid in high school. You have got kind of like, but they all have this common interest. So I just felt really like close with them and stuff, and I was really good friends with all these girls. But oh mate, every weekend I would have probably about 6 or 7 girls sleeping over at my house, and my dad would be fucking great with them. Like he'd come down and go, "Morning, Heather, morning, Bregan, morning," and like he'd know all their names. He'd be like fucking making them tea and stuff. And like I just looking back now, what dad at that age would just willingly sign off weekend after fucking weekend? Yeah, you can stay at another bar. Like, they must have just met me once and went, "Oh, this is the guy." Yeah, no, you're
yeah, because it's not your dad, it's all the other parents who like were completely comfortable with their daughters.
There was never once. One time, someone's boyfriend turned up, and he was like staring outside, like through the window for a bit, and I was like, "What's he doing? We're just trying to watch Mean Girls and have ourselves a cheeky wee wine."
That's so funny.
But no, mate, 100% true.
So that about covers it for ghosting for today's episode. I'd like to thank Gareth Mutch for being a special guest. Gareth, if you get into plug before we let you go?
If I have a YouTube channel, it's my only way of staying sane and trying to create stuff in lockdown. So yeah, please just YouTube / Gareth Mutch, I think. It's dead easy to find. If you could go there, if you like it, subscribe, that would mean a lot. But yeah, apart from that, hee-haw.
Absolutely. Give Gareth a follow on YouTube and all other social media. And just please, we would ask for yourself, if you have enjoyed this episode, please do give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe to us there on Spotify or whatever you get your podcasts.
And give us a follow at Debating Dating on Instagram if you'd like to slide into our DMs. Or you can email us if you have any stories of your own, anything you'd like us to talk about. You can do that, debatingdatingpod@gmail.com.
If you'd like to watch the video version of this, it is available on YouTube as well. Thanks very much for listening to this week's episode, and we'll speak to you soon.